Thrown Abroad. Chapter 7. The next morning, Suncloak had managed to get out of bed before Applejack could rudely wake him up again. Sure, he hadn't slept all that much, kept up by troubling thoughts, but right now, he needed to find some food. Some love, to be exact. To his chagrin, there were almost no ponies outside. Again. Even worse, there were no couples walking around either. Again. Frustrated, he approached a mare and asked her what day it was. Apparently, it was Friday. That explained a lot. He'd been walking around the town during work hours. Of course, there wouldn't be many ponies around. They were getting down to business. Friday was no different. He sighed.
Tomorrow, he thought, is Saturday. Lots of ponies will be walking around then. That'll be my time to strike.
He rounded a corner, occupied by his planning.
I'll go to the park. A perfect spot for couples, and enough hiding places. They'll never know what hit them.
His thoughts were rudely interrupted by his head painfully bumping into something. He took a few steps back, dizzily shaking his head. Great. Another head-related injury. He checked to see what he had bumped into. It was a white unicorn with a curly purple mane and tail. This was one of the ponies he had seen on the first day in Ponyville. Rarity, as she was still as ugly as he remembered. Well, she was ugly according to changeling standards, which were obviously the only standards that counted here. "Oh, I'm terribly sorry," she said. "Are you all right?" The changeling's head still spun.
Ow!
The myth that pony skulls were made of marshmallows was false. They were made out of solid steel. Or at least that's how painful colliding with one felt. Suncloak shook his head once more.
I'm okay.
Rarity gave him a once-over, taking note of his cloak and sunglasses. "You must be Suncloak," she said. "My name is Rarity. You're new to Ponyville, I hear." Well, that took care of the introductions.
"Yes, that's my name,"
the changeling said. For the sake of routine, he continued.
"And yes, I am new to Ponyville. Nice to meet you."
It wasn't nice to meet her, unless a nice meeting consisted of getting a concussion again and seeing something repulsive.
"How do you know my name?"
"Oh, Twilight told me yesterday," Rarity said, as she adjusted her mane. It had to have been a very, very minor adjustment, as Suncloak didn't see any changes. Mares and their manes.
"Well, I should be going. Sorry for bumping into you,"
he said, as he started to step past her. Rarity, however, sidestepped into his way. "Absolutely not," she said. "I insist on doing something to make it up to you." She gave him a quick look again. "How about I make you a new outfit?" The changeling took a few steps back.
"No, that isn't needed," he told her, with a nervous chuckle. I'm okay, really."
The white unicorn reached out toward his cloak. "Oh, but look at this ragged cloak! It's simply dreadful, if you don't mind me saying. A fine I mean, pony such as yourself shouldn't be walking around in something like this." Suncloak deftly stepped away from her hoof.
"Look, I'm really not comfortable with this."
Compared to this, his previous encounters had been pleasant. He was getting dangerously close to being discovered. Was this mare bent on the bane of his existence? Rarity stopped her advance and pouted. "Please."
"No,"
the changeling told her, adamantly. "Fine," Rarity sighed. "Maybe some other time. I think it'd be wonderful to design a new outfit for you." It would be wonderful.
"Okay, fine,"
Suncloak told her. Whatever, as long as he could get rid of her for now.
"I really should go. I'll leave you to your work."
He'd return to Sweet Apple Acres for now. There were no ponies around right now, and he'd probably need to wait until the next day. Might as well rest and conserve energy. He sighed and turned to leave Rarity behind for now. To his dismay, she started walking beside him. "Oh, you're going in the same direction as I am! How wonderful!" she said. Obviously, the changeling had somehow landed in Tartarus and gotten a personal imp to follow him around.
"Yes, wonderful," he deadpanned. "So, you know Twilight Sparkle?" he asked her. Might as well attempt
to steer this conversation in a meaningful direction. "Why, yes, I do," Rarity said. "She told me about her little encounter with you." Yes, the encounter in which he managed to injure his head again and sprayed tea over a baby dragon. Twice.
"She's the element of magic, right?"
the changeling asked her. Rarity nodded in confirmation.
Applejack told me she was the element of honesty. Do you know of the other elements?"
Time to see if you could get something useful out of this mare. "Well, I don't want to brag, but I happen to be one myself. I'm the element of generosity," Rarity told him. "But I thought that was common knowledge." That might have been so for ponies, but not for changelings. Most changelings never paid attention to a lot of things ponies told them, so this had just so happened to be one. Kind of a major oversight, actually.
"Do you know of the others?"
Suncloak asked her. "There's Rainbow Dash, who is the element of loyalty," Rarity started. He'd already met that one. "Then there's Fluttershy, the element of kindness, and Pinkie Pie, the element of laughter. That's all of us. Magic, honesty, generosity, loyalty, kindness, and laughter." The changeling drew a blank as to how these elements were supposed to represent harmony, though. However, asking a pony about it might seem suspicious, so he said nothing. He wondered if he would meet the last two of the elements. Their chat continued, mostly consisting of a small chit-chat and general nonsense. As they came to the Carousel boutique, Rarity stopped. "Well, this is my stop," she said. "It was very nice to meet you." She headed towards the boutique. "Maybe I can see you again later." Suncloak gave her a short wave.
"Maybe.
Bye." After Rarity entered the Carousel boutique, he waited a few moments. He glanced around to see if there weren't any ponies around. When he didn't see anything, he loudly said,
"Finally!"
By the fancy crown of Queen Chrysalis, he couldn't have taken it any longer.
She was so white. She was so yuck. And she'd gotten dangerously close to unmasking him as well, he noted. Maybe he'd see her again, but hopefully he wouldn't. On the other hoof, she had been kind to him, even if he did act like a jerk. He headed toward Sweet Apple Acres. So far, all the ponies had been nice to him. Sure, they may be annoying sometimes, but he found that being in their company was vastly preferable to being alone in a scary forest. If he'd be forced to stick around the village like this for the rest of his life, he probably wouldn't mind it as much as he thought he would. That is, if he didn't have to worry about his disguise all the time. Foreshadowing. A short while later, he had reached Sweet Apple Acres once more. Maybe he could take another one of those naps. That seemed like a good plan. As he walked through the orchard, however, he stumbled upon something quite different. In a small clearing, he found Applebloom, Skidaloo, and Sweetie Belle, who were doing some kind of activity involving throwing a small tennis ball at each other, catching it with their mouth. Intriguing. What purpose could this serve, aside from laughing at one of the fillies when they missed catching the ball, tripped, or got hit by the ball? The changeling couldn't think of any other possible meaning. Maybe the goal was to throw it so hard that the other pony's teeth were knocked out of their mouth. As he stood there, pondering this dilemma... now see, the thing is, catch is a simple physical activity. Surely the changelings would know about physical activity. It's not like a game. I don't know. If they were playing like tic-tac-toe or something, that'd be different. But I'm sorry. It's my nature to be nitpicky about the little specific games they're playing. Yeah. Okay. As he stood there, pondering this dilemma, Applebloom missed catching the ball. It bounced a few times and rolled to a stop, right in front of the changeling's hooves. Applebloom gave him a surprised look. "Well, hello there, Mr. Suncloak," she said excitedly. The changeling cast a short glance at the ball. "Hi. What are you three doing?" "We were just throwing this ball around a little bit," Skidaloo said. "We didn't have any ideas for crusading, so we just decided to do something fun," the little Pegasus said, fluttering her wings. Fun. Now there was something the changeling understood. Fun was very important to changelings. It was one of those things they first learned. Whatever you do, remember to have fun. No sense in masquerading as a pony and not enjoy it. You could get away with all sorts of things, granted you didn't get caught. When a changeling was done feeding, they'd often put themselves in an embarrassing situation, only to leave almost immediately after. If pulled off right, the original pony would have to deal with it, without them ever knowing what happened. Some changelings were absolute masters at this, managing to create incredibly elaborate pranks on themselves. Why, Suncloak himself had once managed to craft an ingenious plan involving several hundred salmon, a wheelbarrow, and a windmill. It didn't work out exactly as he had hoped, but it still turned out hilarious.
Mind if I join in?
He asked the three fillies. He had no idea how they found this fun, but he hadn't done anything fun in far too long. It was worth trying out.
Sure,
Sweetie Belle said with a smile. The changeling picked the ball up in his mouth and threw it in Scootaloo's general direction. He wasn't sure what was supposed to be fun about this, though. They threw the ball around for some time, occasionally performing some kind of strange throw to make it interesting. It wasn't amazingly fun, but the changeling could find some amusement in it.
So,
he suddenly started,
when you welcomed me into Ponyville, you said something about cootie mark somethings.
Might as well make small talk. He caught the ball and threw it in Sweetie Belle's direction.
We are the Cutie Mark Crusaders,
Apple Bloom said enthusiastically.
We're trying to find our cutie marks.
Well, not right now, Sweetie Belle said, after she threw the ball to Apple Bloom,
because we don't really have any ideas. We've tried a whole bunch of things, but none of us has their cutie mark yet.
Huh.
Cutie marks were that important to ponies?
Changelings didn't have cutie marks. Well, they did if they changed into a pony. But they could just make a fake one. No big deal. I wonder if he gets a cutie mark. It's unlikely, but that would be very interesting. Like they're more connected than they thought. Anyways, Apple Bloom caught the ball and threw it to Suncloak again. A thought struck him as he caught the ball and threw it to Scootaloo.
Just a question, he started. What if one of your friends suddenly turns out to be a changeling?
Let's not make things too obvious here.
What if, for example, Scootaloo had been a changeling for as long as you knew her?
Hey, I know a story where that happens.
Apple Bloom started as she rubbed her chin. I think I'd be okay with that.
Huh?
Scootaloo threw the ball toward Sweetie Belle. Yeah. If Apple Bloom or Sweetie Belle were changelings, I don't think I'd have minded that. They're still my best friends. Besides, they're way too cool to be changelings.
Interesting. Sweetie Belle threw the ball back to Scootaloo. Who is talking here? I think I wouldn't mind if... Okay, this is Sweetie Belle.
I think I wouldn't mind if any pony I knew turned out to be a changeling. Every pony in Ponyville is still really nice, like my sister and Big Macintosh, and even the ponies I don't know that well. Yeah, every pony here is pretty cool. You're pretty cool as well, Suncloak, but not as cool as Rainbow Dash.
But you're still comparing him to Rainbow Dash. Scootaloo said as she threw the ball in the changeling's direction. It was a rather hard, wide throw. Did that mean that the ponies actually liked him? And they would still like him if he turned out to be a changeling. That felt strangely reassuring. Why did he suddenly care about what these ponies thought of him? Suncloak dulled, and the small ball overshot its target. The changeling had to jump and try and catch it. As he reached out a hoof, his cloak started sliding off. Noticing this... What was that? Noticing this, he pulled his hoof back and readjusted the rag he was wearing. The ball was nowhere to be seen, however.
Hey, where'd the ball go?
Apple Bloom asked, looking around.
I don't know,
Sweetie Belle said.
I think you threw it too hard, Scootaloo. I didn't...
Scootaloo started, but she cut off her sentence with a sigh.
Never mind. Let's look around.
I think I'll get Wyona. She can probably find it, Apple Bloom said as she ran off. The other two fillies nodded their approval and followed.
I'll keep looking around here, Suncloak said. You three go ahead.
After they left, he took a good look around. No ponies were watching. He held up the hoof he had used to try and catch the ball, and pulled down the cloak. He was looking at a hole, or rather a hole which was filled up by a tennis ball.
Stupid hole,
the changeling said. Useless piece of chitin, or chitin. I know what it is.
That's weird. I know what it is, but I don't know how to pronounce it. I've seen it in games. It's like the material on bugs and crap. He bit down on the ball and pulled. It didn't budge. He pulled on it for after a few minutes, in a futile effort. This had to be the most stubborn ball ever made. Props to the manufacturer, though. In the distance, he could hear Applebloom say something. Wyona? Y'all go help Suncloak over there. We'll look over here. Who was Wyona, anyway? As the changeling heard the excited yapping of a dog coming his way, he gave his hoof, with the ball stuck in it, a worried glance. Uh-oh. Not terribly far from there, Rarity walked along the path through the Sweet Apple Acres orchard, where she ran into Applejack. Hello, Applejack, she called out. Hey there, Rarity. Applejack greeted her. You came up to pick up Sweetie Belle? Oh, you know how fussy parents get when their fillies aren't home in time for dinner, Rarity said. Applejack nodded knowingly. Where is she, anyway? The White Unicorn asked. I don't know, Applejack said. She's probably somewhere in the orchard, playing with Applebloom and Scootaloo, and I thought I saw Suncloak headed in that direction. Did you meet him? Rarity nodded. Why, I just met him this morning. He's a bit strange, but a nice fellow, isn't he? Somewhere in the distance, some pony yelled, No! Don't stick your snout in that hole! Ow! Especially not in that hole, you hairy grub! A dog happily barked in response. The two talking ponies did not take notice. He doesn't say a lot, though, Applejack said, and his hoof kind of felt weird when we shook it. But I'm just guessing I was a little bit on the edge because of the whole changelings taking over Equestria thing from last week. Oh, I spoke to Rainbow Dash before I got here. She told me he has a nasty skin condition. It's why he wears the cloak. It's probably also why he turned down my offer, Rarity said, with a sad look. Let me guess, Applejack said. You wanted to make him a fancy outfit. Ow! Ow! Stop dragging me around, dog! The same voice sounded from the distance, followed by a series of whacks. Ow! Wait! Watch out for that! Another loud whack. Again, the farmer and the fashionista didn't notice. Regardless, Rarity said, I bumped into him rather rudely this morning. I simply had to apologize to a respectful and kind stallion such as him. Yeah, he's an nice colt. Seems to me he gets along just fine. Wonder how long he's staying here, though. Just at that moment, 3 fillies came walking in their direction, accompanied by Wyona, who had a tennis ball in her mouth. Hi, Applejack! Hi, sis! The old Sweetie Belle greeted the 2 elder ponies. Hello, girls! Rarity greeted back. She cast a glance at the sun, which was already starting to set. Oh, we have to go, Sweetie Belle. Come along now. Both ponies gave quick goodbyes and set off. Wait up! I'm coming along, Scootaloo said, and went after them. Oh, bye, Applebloom and Applejack! After the others had left, Applejack turned to her little sister. What were you 3 doing back there? Oh, we were just throwing a ball around with Mr. Suncloak, Applebloom said. Applejack raised an eyebrow. And where is he now? Applebloom started. Right at that moment, Suncloak hobbled toward them, looking rather ragged. Oh, there he is, Applebloom said. Hey there, Suncloak, Applejack said. I didn't see you this morning. Where were you? I was out, he briefly told her as he wobbled by. He took a few steps back, noticing that he overshot his mark. Well, we were just about to go have dinner, Applejack said, not noticing his odd gait. Come along now. After dinner, the changeling had retreated to his bed in the barn. The ponies actually thought he was nice. The strangest thing how good it felt when he had heard that. It was almost like he cared what the ponies thought of him. That was incredibly stupid, he noted. He was a predator, and they were prey. A changeling couldn't develop feelings for ponies. He sighed and shook his head. This was getting ridiculous. Regardless, there was only one way to sum up the day. I hate dogs, he said, before he went to a well-deserved sleep. First of all, a changeling couldn't develop feelings for ponies. No, I'm not saying that. I'm quoting his sentence. That easily could be true. Now, the thing is, we're humanoids, right? I'm gonna call ponies poninoids, 'cause I don't know. So I guess since changelings and ponies are both poninoids and they both have faces, you easily could develop feelings for it, because in District 9, when there were like humans and there were like aliens, but they were more realistic aliens. Originally, the aliens were going to be dogs. They're going to be dog-like creatures, but they found that the audience really could not develop feelings for them when they looked like dogs. So then they had to set it up so that they looked really different, but they still were like humanoid-y, and they had faces. Like they had eyes and a mouth on their face. And that was it. And they like spoke from their mouth. And then people were able to develop way more like feelings with them. Secondly, I really need to change some of my voices. Like my Sweetie Belle voice is basically super close to my Pinkie Pie voice, as is my Twilight. I just use kind of different intonation. Also, my Apple Bloom, my Applejack, like Apple Bloom is a little bit higher, and then Applejack is down lower. And yeah, and then also Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo. Yeah, I'm Rainbow Dash. I'm really cool. And then there's Scootaloo. I just do it a little higher, but that's not very good. And derp voices. And also, my accents fade out a little bit. And sometimes I'll be talking with Rarity, and then I'll end really low. Low. And I'll come down to a manly voice. Like, when I'm cutting it off and all this stuff. Third of all, through a lot of this fic, the theme from Up would be awesome for it. I've had that stuck in my head, not all day, but just now, and I've been listening to it, the theme from Up. That would be great in this story. I think it would really fit. Oh, hey, viewers. But yeah, I think that would really fit. Just some of the parts, because like the feeling of it, it's like, oh god, this is like a really lighthearted, comedic, but also feeling-y. It's about fitting in. It's got a lot of the views of the show. No, I don't think this could be an episode, because it's actually rather complicated. It's not like basic friendship. Yeah. If My Little Pony were geared at teens, yeah, I bet it could be an episode. But yeah, great story. Like, I'm not doubting the story. I'm just saying that it's a bit too complicated. Yeah, I guess that's it on my stuff. I gotta go to bed, even though it's only 11, which is pretty early for me. And it's also, I have no school tomorrow. But yeah, so see you tomorrow, everybody. That's actually kind of not true. I've been reading every other day recently. And then I might make up for it the next day with like 2 or 3 reads. But yeah, see you tomorrow or the day after that. Yay for not reading enough. Well, you know, school. It makes things hard.